Beautiful, beloved soul family, brothers and sisters from all around the world. I'm Geeia Ariati. I am the Oracle for the 144, the Bringers of Change, and I am. I'm Sound Heart and Sound Mind. This is actually a super juicy topic, very juicy topic, and it's a topic that is going to be expressed around the current themes. We've got a lot of Kundalini energy going on. There's a rise of the masculine. There is an awareness for the feminine and what is taking place. Just realized the last live I did, the screen went blank. So I'm like, do I need to tone my computer? Um, and so when you're arriving in, if you haven't received one of my transmissions before, and we're talking about Kundalini, the sacred sexuality arts and the form of unconscious initiation. So, whew, whew, wow, there's actually so much in this topic that I will do my absolute best to unravel all of it. And I'm going to talk to you from the me, from the part of here, the I, the the me that I am, Geeia, from my perky personality. And I'm going to share some things that I have not shared publicly, that I have not shared in a space of an open forum, based on the distortions and how they can be received, based on not wanting to be misinterpreted with the information that I am sharing, and also the importance of it for others and for what is taking place. Where do I begin? The reason that I haven't shared is not because I'm in shame around it. I have no sexual distortions. I have alchemized my sexuality, and the aspect of myself is in full purification. And I am extremely aware and discerning around how I use my vessel and my connection to God Source Creator, and have been in spaces and places where um, I do not allow for, and well, I don't work in any unconscious energies of the seven deadly sins, we could call them, and how they play out through lust and different satanic or demonic consciousnesses. So, in this, there is an awareness of how I have unconsciously done a lot of things. And it's also to allow awareness that this isn't how you do it, right? So I am the poster card for the bringers of change. When you go first and when you're one of the leaders, you're the fuck up, really. Like, I'm the fuck up that got here through fucking up so that I can say, hey, don't do this. This is a stupid idea. You can go, instead of doing this, doing this, doing this, I'll give you the recipe and the correction code so you don't have to do what I do, because the way that I went was kind of painful. Um, and it was not the most yummy experience. So I do laugh at that. It's kind of funny. I like to joke because this experience is a game. And although it wasn't funny at the time, there is a lot of humor in it all, and has been along the way. There's a lot of humor around a lot of it, especially when you see the unfoldings of what really took place from the higher lens. And you're like, really? Really? So, from a very vulnerable space, I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory into what I'm about to talk about, because I'm going to be talking to men and women for your awareness. So that we can talk into the priestess archetype, or the woman conduit that's a sexual healer, and also to the men that would be drawn to the priestess, or to the woman that has a massive capacity with sexual alchemy. And that is not all women. Some women have an amazing capacity with using the Kundalini current of the earth, and have mastered sexual alchemy through temple arts, through their incarnation cycles. And what some would consider Tantra. I do not align to the tantric expressions that are on our earth. They are not, in my opinion, a holistic, purified, or divine expression of sexual alchemy. And they are missing massive aspects of information. And I find that most of those places are full of energies that are not so delicious when you really start to understand them. However, have played in all the realms. So, to give you a little bit of awareness, I am a high priestess and I do not work in what some would call embodied priestess work anymore. When you come, there's different levels of initiation. You start into initiating yourself into a priestess. Now, most of human collective are doing this unconsciously. They don't know, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about, is the unconscious behavior that brings you into this. Then you get initiated into your priestess, and your priestess starts to work with the physical body. So the priestess energy, they are just naturally quite seductive, right? A priestess. Priestesses have a very sexual expression. They're very attractive. They are designed specifically, their vessel is designed to be attractive. They've got an ability with their body to move. Most priestesses have a specific look that there's two specific archetypes. You have the Kundalini priestess and you have the Christed priestess. Now, a Christed priestess works like Mary Magdalene, and they're from the higher realms and they bring the energy down, and they need to learn to cultivate their lower realms, and that's a part of their journey. Then you have the more and this is great, the lower realm priestess. So the priestess that can use the energy from the earth, and they work from the lower chakras up and through the heart, and they circulate it out that way. Whoopsies. I don't know if that comes through on a live or not, but that was a notification. So there's these two different directional priestesses. Now, a Christed priestess is actually quite lean, thin. They're kind of straight up and down. They're a bit of a surfboard. They're very girl next door, but they've still got this like alluring nature. They're very high vibrational, often really out of body. Not going to be speaking so much about the Christed priestess because they don't have the same initiations with men as the Kundalini priestess. So we're just going to place the Christed priestess over here, and we'll have a chat about her another day. But the Kundalini priestess are the lineages that are specifically connected to the temple spaces. There is different lineage that hold this. I'm not going to go into the lineages specifically, but a woman that has this tends to have a more bottom, like a pear-shaped body, or they're a bit more curvy. They're voluptuous. They've got a sense of the sensuality in the physicality. So they're often more, I would say they're more pear. So you can tell that there's a lot more energy in their lower chakras. They've got an ability to cultivate that more. And these women, and you can have beings that have both. I'm one of those beings that has both of these archetypal energies and is synergized in between, and has had to master both. But the priestess with this natural state of being, a lot of these women end up unconsciously using their sexual energy because they have a lot of Kundalini current moving through their body. They wake up in this world turned on. And in this reality, that is not acceptable. So there is shame that comes in straight away, and often a suppression of a priestess's energy. They go through different initiations through sexual abuse. I haven't met a Kundalini priestess that hasn't had some form of sexual abuse or some form of sexual violation in early years of life, because that actually appears to be one of the unconscious initiations, and it is not something that I'm smiling about in that way. It's more that whilst we unconsciously teach ourselves in this reality who we are, these are the things that we manifest into our life experience, which is why it is so important for me to educate and to also create schooling systems where young children can come and learn how to run their energy so they don't attract a pedophile into their life, and have to go through the fragmentation of healing that so they can reclaim their energy. Now, what is really so a lot of these women end up as sex workers. I have a lot of priestess women that I work with that have been ex-sex workers. They've worked on OnlyFans, they've been topless waitresses, whatever it is. They've had high sex drives. They've either if they haven't been in that, they've had a sex addiction, or they've had some kind of mental health. Also have levels of instability of what we would maybe call a bit bipolar, where they have a tendency to swing. Um, they they also, if they don't have mental health, they've got an addiction, which really is all mental health. They've got addiction natures to either alcohol or drugs to suppress the emotional instability, because there's a lot of emotion and they're kind of a roller coaster ride. They're very addictive. Now, men are drawn to these women because they're on the crazy hot scale, so they are crazy and hot. Um, and so priestesses that are crazy and hot take a while to be less crazy and still hot. No, sorry. Um, it's it's true. They actually are in that. If you haven't seen the crazy hot scale matrix, it's quite funny. It's funny because I'm on it, or I'm on it, and I'm still on it because I would be considered completely crazy to the majority of beings, right? And this gives an indication, right, of the different nature of how the brain and the energy, having a lot of energy, there's a swinging between the left and the right hemispheres of the brain. Um, and what takes place during this is this specific energy system, and it's not stereotyping. I don't know who you are, but I'm not listening to anything you have to say right now. um, yeah. All right. Um, don't know how to screen this, but anyway. So these women specifically are, um, they have a lot of chi. Now, how this shows up in the experience and how it relates to men is that from a multidimensional expression of remembrance is that we go through, the majority of the human race and the bringers of change are forgetting who they are between the ages of 3 and 7. So if you go back through your childhood experience, there was a fragmentation that took place between 3 and 7 where you unplugged yourself and you went into amnesia. Now, when you went into amnesia, you disconnected from who you are, and you don't remember why you were created the way you were, why you hold the specific archetypal energies that you hold, or why it is that you express yourself in the way you are. So, a lot of shame comes in, a lot of wrongness comes in, a lot of judgment, and then we get fragmented over and over and over again with wounding. Now, so for specifically, let's just talk about me. We'll just talk about me because this is how I can explain it in the totality of how it interlocks way beyond the human lens. So, the first fragmentation that took place for me, I was 2 years old, and my stepdad, through his overt dark masculine, so not through the pedophile energy, that's very different. The overt dark masculine energy decided to molest me in a malicious way of uh, causing a violation of power. So it was not done in a sexual way to get off. It was done in a way of, I'm going to fucking destroy you and hurt you through a way that you are vulnerable. Now, that obviously caused a fragmentation. And then there was different points from that point on that ended up with constant through both of those energies. So through the pedophile energy and then through the dark masculine energy in that overt control way of what we will call the patriarchy, where the pedophile is different. So the pedophile energy, if we look at it, and I know it's a very uncomfortable conversation, is that the pedophile does not do something to hurt, it does something to fulfill. So the pedophile is missing the peace, the pedophile is missing the innocence, the pedophile is missing the creation, the connection energy to a level of fragmentation that right and wrong and disconnect from God source creator has happened. So they're in the not in the one dimensional, but they're actually in two-dimensional consciousness. And what happens is, because they're in such separation, they just want to feel a sense of connection. And often, a lot of pedophiles will feel as though there's an admiration and there's a genuine, in their mind, because it's so mutated and they're mentally ill, feel a sense of love mm, and I will say admiration. It's probably the best word. Is that there's a distorted lens that this child somehow looks up to them, and they're seen in a different way. Now, this specific uh, aspect happens to a lot of priestesses. They'll go through both ends of having a energy that is in the pedophile is a feeding, right? That's a feeding. It's I'm going to take because I need to feel connection. I need to validate. I need to have what you have because I don't have it. That's the pedophile. Now, the dark masculine is I'm going to destroy you and violate you until I can control you and break you down into your victim mentality. Very different. So this is what the priestess will experience through different points in time. And she'll go through this and she'll attract different men and through different situations and continue to move through that until she clears her karmic past, releases herself from different contracts, goes through and heals her inner child, all of those things. But what that creates is, some people will call it what do they call that? The daddy issues. Kind of is, right? We can call it that. She has daddy issues, right? Her dad didn't love her. Her dad wasn't around. That's pretty true. There is a level of absence, abandonment, and not being able to be seen or loved or protected. So there's a big piece around protection. My father didn't protect me, and so there's a cycle that happens. And so what a lot of these women do in their wounding, their wounding is I didn't receive the love and the protection from my father that I needed, and I wasn't seen for who I am. And so there becomes a seeking for love in man. And this fragmentation that takes place on top of the extra sexual energy that they can't turn off. So, a woman with this archetypal energy, she can't turn this off. It's so innately within her. It charges her. It moves through her all of the time that she actually cannot control it. All she can do is learn to master it and alchemize it and move through it. And she doesn't know that because we are not taught in this reality. So, what happens? She starts to use it through addictive behaviors. She either ends up with, and a lot of these women will end up being like very obsessed with their yoni. They'll masturbate or seek pleasure to avoid pain. They will seek out men and relationships so that they don't have to feel their broken heart. They will move through so much of this through a point of I don't know what's going on over there. I'm not even looking. Can you ban someone? Can you do that? Hang on, let me have a look. Oh yeah, I can. Let's do this. Oh wait, no, that didn't work. Hide user from this channel. Put user in timeout. Oh, I like that. Put user in timeout. Hide user or put user in timeout? Hide user, hide user. Let's do that. Does that work? This user is hidden. Let me know if this user is hidden. Um, I love that. Put him in timeout. Okay. So then everyone else can focus because it doesn't worry me, but I know it does. It affects everyone else. So let's just let's clear and purify um, that energy. I learn a new thing. I can put people in timeout. That's fun. Miyakari and Diana. So just taking a couple of deep breaths, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Kiata te kiande anari andoto koende anai asete kiari ashoto koende anai. Di kiari no koende anai. Setere kietiana. And another one. All right. So, a woman with this archetype cannot suppress this energy. It is innately coded into her cells, into her body. If she shuts down her sexual energy, what happens is she actually starts to become sick and lifeless. So, this is where you will have heard different stories where priestesses are so youthful. They don't age. They have a specific physical appearance because they have so much chi and elixir of life that moves through them that they are of vitality. It also puts them into a lot of stupid situations where they give their chi or they let other people feed off them because they have an abundance of it and they don't know how to transmute it or alchemize it or use it in a focused way. And so, in the unconscious expression, where this woman has the fragmentation that she has, and she also probably has the aspect of unworthiness that sits in there with her mother wound on top of that. And so she probably has quite a bit of rebellion towards her mother, and there's a bit of contrast there. Apparently, I still have some rebellion towards my mother. And what happens is through this, there's a shame narrative that's created. There is a seeking, and so she goes on what we could say a quest of initiation. So how this happens is she uses her kundalini energy through sexual experiences. She uses it in a way where she lures in men as a way to alchemize and master her own physical body. She will do it to heal her own pain, and she will also do it so that she can keep her life force and her energy systems clear, clean, and purified. Challenge with that. The challenge with that is that when she attracts the men, she often attracts men that are her polarity. So there is a tendency to attract men that are in a more there's obviously two different kinds of this archetypal energy as well in fragmentation. You've got the more succubus woman, and then you've got the wounded, victimized one, right? So you've got the wounded, victimized priestess, and then you've got the succubus, dark feminine priestess. So light, dark. And they do show up differently, and they will attract different men. So the wounded woman that is in this father wounding, and she's feels victimized and she's looking for love in this way of just wanting to be validated, wants him to rescue her. She will attract the dark masculine. She will attract the overt narcissistic guy that is a dick, right? So you've got the typical empath narcissist story. That's this one. That's that toxic push-pull relationship. Then on the other side of the spectrum, you have the succubus and the dark feminine woman, and she will attract the vulnerable man that she can feed off and manipulate and use to her advantage. So that is your emasculated man. This is what happens. And sometimes we swip between the two as we learn who we are and we play in both realms. And that's a part of growth, unconscious growth. And so this dynamic that comes up is that she, whether she's in either the light or the dark, she is basically cycling men to find a sense of self-love. She's cycling men to connect in. She's cycling men to master her own frequency. Now, where it becomes fun is that there is a lot of multidimensionality to this. So you might have heard in the spiritual community people say that we need to exchange codes. You've got codes for me and I've got codes for you. Now, there's a really, really big distortion around code swapping being through sexuality. You do not have to swap codes by intimacy. Not at all. You can literally say, if you were on the other side of this screen and you had a conversation with my higher self and said, hey, I know you've got some really great Kundalini codes. Do you reckon you could give them to me? I would really like them. Do you have anything? Do I have anything that you would like? Because I'm happy to gift you my codes and to receive your codes. Now, it's not giving them up, it's an exchange. It's I'm going to share this energy with you so that you remember that you can use this and master this yourself. Now, this expression of gifting codes, it's not, that comes from the unconscious alchemy. That comes from not mastering your mind. That comes from seducing. It comes from distortion. There is no point in time that you ever have to exchange energy physically. However, when you are wounded, you don't realize this. So, what happens is your higher self will send you into all of the situations to allow you to grow, which means that on some level, you choose this because you are doing it. So, as a priestess that was in the wounded feminine, the woman that wanted a man to come and rescue her and hold her heart and love her and be her knight in shining armor, she attracted a lot of men in this dark masculine toxicity energy, and she was just as toxic, right? So what took place though was that every man that she attracted from this point of what I know now, did not know then, every man that I've ever, well, not, yes, okay, every man, ugh, wow, every man that I've ever had sexual interaction with has been some form of a what we will call the 144. So I have naturally been attracted to these individuals, and I guess we'll even call some of them the other agenda, because there has been a process of sharing frequencies and remembering. So there is an exchange that takes place. When we're unconscious, we don't know how to do it any other way. We magnetize, we pull, where we desire something. On the inner level, it's not just I have a father wound and I have daddy issues. It's also you have some codes here that I want. You also have some karmic energy that we can alchemize through this. Oh, this past timeline needs to be corrected here. And so what happens is you play it out in your human experience and you actually have no idea what you're doing until way along the path where you look back and you're like, oh shit, that person, that was it. Whoa, he was a, oh, okay, wow. Now, I have had a lot of sexual partners. I have had a lot of experience in the realms of sexuality. I have experienced all levels of curiosity. I have played around in all of that. I did work in adult entertainment industry. I had two OnlyFans accounts. Yes, yes, I know, right? I have uh, a very colorful history. And through that, I learnt a lot. And I also was extremely wounded. And this awareness as to what I know now, that took a long time and a lot of work and a lot of inner healing and a lot of clearing, because what I was moving through, and you may or may not know this about me, and there is a YouTube video on this around the exposure of the goddess Isis and her distortions around purity. So I am the incarnation of that goddess. Now, she has an extremely powerful ability with the sexual arts, and she has a lot of modalities in teaching purification of the seven chakra systems into the transcendence beyond human mind. Now, her frameworks of this reality and what was taught in ancient Egypt is absolutely amazing. It was also very distorted, and it's taken a lot of purification to do that. So, during this process of unconsciously being and not knowing, these codes from this timeline have been gifted back, basically going, I'm sorry, I fucked you over. Here's your shit. I love you. All right, thank you, and moving on. And this uh, is really really hard piece to look at in remembrance. Like, uh, she is not, or she was not, what people and history have painted her as. She was she was exactly what I was in this reality. She was at the hand of the patriarchy. She was under the thumb of control, and she done a lot of things that were demonic and satanic in the name of purification of God source creator, and completely lost her path to the law of one and to the emerald order. And in that, I'm just I don't know who this is. But emotions and my ego. No, I don't have an ego construct anymore. I have a very, very vibrant human personality. And there is a difference. And those that are, and this is the thing that keeps you stuck in your ego. The thing that keeps you stuck in your ego is that you are fearful that if you release your ego, that you will be like this, and that you will not resonate to people, that you will not know how to connect to people, that you will become too peaceful, that you will be so zen that you will not continue life. There's all these stories that the ego has. We actually end up more playful, more fun, more joyful, more full of curiosity, more of all of the things that we're afraid that we're going to lose, all of the things that we think is going to dissolve from our life, we end up having it all. So when you release your attachment to your ego construct, when you allow yourself to actually be all of yourself, you can be all expressions. And I'm quite happy to be all of my expressions because I know where they come from. I know who I am. I know what I've journeyed. I know the amount of hours that I've spent purging, and the amount of demons that I've met within myself, and the fragment points of my mind. I know exactly who I am. And so any words that are here, in relation to not seeing me, that's just because you don't know who you are. You haven't seen yourself. And that's okay. I can shine the light until you do. Mayandeana here kireana hue. And I will do it with cheek, and I will do it with play. And I'm not going to fall into the paradigm of what a sage or a spiritually enlightened being is, because it's a lie. Everything that spirituality has told you it is incorrect. It's not real. It's actually not true. It is manipulated to keep you in the entrapment programs. And so during this path for a woman and man, is you're unconsciously connecting with people at a higher self level to initiate yourself. And so men are being initiated by priestesses into their sacral chakra, into their kundalini energy. They are being activated into their medicine in different ways. When a priestess is with a man, a huge amount of divine source energy current comes through in the alchemy process. And they have an ability to bring this energy. A lot of men, if they will, Maria Tedekiandianaya Surya Kariandianaya Tedekiana. Um, I am going to silence you as well because you are distracting. Put you in timeout. 24 hours. Nice. I'm just going to play with that. um, all right. Focus. Um, if you don't like me, don't listen. It's as simple as that. If I don't resonate to your soul, go and find someone who does. That's awesome. Go find someone who lights you the fuck up. Go find somebody who brings joy into your life. Go find somebody that goes, wow, what they are saying, I really get that. That makes a lot of sense for me. Go and do that. Don't fight against me. Why? Why? It's a waste of your energy. It's a waste of mine. It does not bring more love or truth into the world. You say you're here for spirituality, but you're fighting against and trying to prove that I'm something that you think that I'm not. I know who I am. Do you? Like, it's like, really, if you knew who you are, you're not going to be telling me who I'm not. Who does that, right? It's so simple. It's so simple that we fuck it up. We fuck it up. So in that, what is taking place is that the priestess has this capacity that she doesn't know how to use. She doesn't know how to master. And so she's having a lot of sexual experiences and she's activating men. She's activating their sexual coding, their templates. She's activating their remembrance. He is also activating and initiating her, often through levels of through her pain narrative. So she receives a lot through her healing and her wounding, and she also receives the ability to cultivate this energy, which means that she does receive anything that he also has for her in abilities and gifts. And so there is an exchange. It's not one-sided, it's always both. You're receiving it on the human level and you're receiving it on the multidimensional. And what's fascinating about this is that you can start to sit back and reflect on different energy systems, different archetypes, different people you've been attracted to, and what is it that they were actually showing you about who you are. Who are you? Now, as I've been called into speaking a lot more into these brotherhoods. So there's two specific brotherhoods that I'm here to assist with for the energy consciousness of Thoth. Now, um, eh, Thoth and Isis don't have a history in ancient Egypt, yet they do in their purified vessel that they went into as the gods and the goddesses of ancient Greece, and that's Hermes and Aphrodite. And so they have a union and they have a connection there. Now, how that is relevant to the now moment, because that's all that's relevant is the now moment, is that the codes that you agreed to carry, the things that you mastered, the things that you've done in previous incarnations have relevant remembrance to your path and your medicine here and now. It is important to remember, to know who you've been, unless you can go, I'm actually just going to claim all of me. Then you will need to go and access certain parts of your own subconscious memory and the timelines that you've journeyed so that you can reconcile the karmic past, but also claim back the gifts. These abilities, they go offline because we've fragmented so much. Now, as my contract in this incarnation, which is chosen through chosen through free will, is that I am here to bring in a purified expression of the sacred sexuality temple arts. Now, that's not coming for quite a while down the track, right? It's we just none of us are ready for it. There isn't enough purification in our experience to have these spaces yet. And that's okay. We're all going through this process of purification, integrating, and really alchemizing and remembering who we are. And that will be something that comes, and it's something to look forward to. But in the process, you are learning how to anchor and move through, how to hold your Kundalini energy, how to be in your creative essence, how to be in your innocence, how to reclaim your inner child. All of these fragments are coming through an alchemy process so that you can be that purified light bearer, be that being that doesn't get distorted, distracted, fed off, or detoured down the path. And in that, the relevance of this is that that I one of my primary roles is that I be the oracle for the being that we will just call Thoth's consciousness. Now, Thoth is not in a physical form at the moment. He was going to be a walk in. The being that was choosing to be the walk in actually changed his mind and ended up choosing a different path, which means now there's a preparation on a male that will take this role. Now, it feels like a dating. It's actually, I get fearful of saying this on a live forum because it feels like a dating app. It's like, Thoth is looking for a body. If you find that you are taking the role for Thoth, then I will be your divine counterpart, right? So it's it sounds quite ridiculous. But this journey actually is really quite funny and ridiculous when you see it from the cosmic lens. You're like, of course that would fun. I wanted to swear then. Of course that would happen. But it is. It's a cosmic joke. And it's actually so hilarious from the higher point of view. They like don't actually care. They're like, I don't care if you're choosing or you're not choosing. I'm going to put you here and you here, and I'm going to maneuver you and your higher selves. And the divine plan is so orchestrated that you think you have a choice, and you really don't. You have a choice to either follow the divine plan or completely disconnect. That's your only choice. So the part about this Melchizedek. So the 12 men, someone asked about the 12 men. They are from the Melchizedek line. So that's all I'm going to say right now, because somebody asked me, who do I know? Do I know who they are? I know 6 of them. Okay, so the divine game of chess. So where that sits at the moment, all over the place right now. So where this sits at the moment is that Thoth he needs one of the light warriors, because that's his men, or that's his main role, is to lead these men through their mission. And they're not his men, right? We're not going to go into ownership, but when you look at it from a purified expression, it doesn't sound like that at all. But he has the leadership hierarchical role to share his information, his wisdom, his architectural skills, and his ability with mathematics, with science, with physics. There's a lot of information around geometry, structures. There's all of these amazing things, as well as the process of being a scribe or a wisdom keeper. So there's a lot of knowledge, a huge amount of knowledge. He holds the entire holes of Amenti and the Alexander Library. He's an extremely powerful being. Now, I don't know many people that would actually probably want to embody that role, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And which is why he has not yet found a man that would like to take on that role. So if you didn't watch the 12 men video, and you're a little bit curious about what I'm saying, I'm not going to repeat any of it, because you can just go and find that video and look into what it means. But basically, the 12 men hold twin spirits that to hold a higher evolved consciousness, because an energy signature like Thoth is a very highly evolved consciousness. It needs a specific genetic makeup and specific genetic structure to be able to hold that in physical form. They are big guys. So the light warriors are not two spirited. So just to clarify, a light warrior is not two spirited, but the 12 men are two spirited. And so the alchemy process of the two spirited expression plus being a light warrior, because you need the physicality. So the vessel that we come in will tell you a lot about your purpose. It will tell you a lot about who you are and what your capacity is, because what you are up there is what you are down here, as above so below. So this physicality allows for a larger consciousness to be held in the bone density and the information that is stored, and there's an ability with matter and frameworks and structures. It actually makes a lot of sense when you start to see it. So. Going back to the unconscious priestess period of my life, is that what I am here now doing is that I'm purified and I'm initiating through using his channel. So he's gifting me information and different strategies to assist these men to move into their process. But then there's also the process of my own individual mission, which is a part of being the purification of the human psyche and moving into the transcendence. And so that part of that is the healing. That's the divine source energy of remember who you are, come into your truth. Let's physically move through the distortions of your circuitry system. Let's clear the densities from your body. And that has been unconsciously through a lot of women done through sexual alchemy, because they don't know how to make sense of their kundalini. They don't know how to make sense of their own medicine. And so as my awareness is that I have initiated a lot of men unconsciously, and a lot of these men have either been light warriors or Vikings of truth, and main key players for this path and this mission forward. And so I also don't, I mean, I don't hold any shame about it anyway, because I've moved through exactly what that taught me and what I need. I was a wounded human being like everyone else. And that also brings a whole different spin to things. It brings you a whole different awareness as to, wow, could I, could that really have happened, right? We're often thinking, did that really take place? Like, am I crazy? How many times do you have these different moments or downloads or awarenesses or these pieces come in and you're like, that can't be real. Now, it does take some time for the amount of I can't believe that just happened moments. But when you start to see the validation in your mirrors that receive the same information, the same memories, that you are miles apart and they bring the same download to you, or the same memory of a past timeline, or they've journeyed the exact same technology that has entrapped the human race, then you can't say that it's not real, because it becomes too much to actually deny. And so the priestess of our path of the temple priestesses, what they're doing is they're magnetizing to the priests. So these temple priestesses are either magnetizing to the priests, or they're magnetizing to the men that they were in service to as healers. Now, a lot of priestesses have contracts like, I'm going to fuck the war out of men. Yum. Yay. That's a great contract to have, right? Unconsciously, you've got daddy wounds, you've got a lot of things that are going on, and you're seeking love, then you're going to create some pretty distorted entanglements within your consciousness. You're going to feel like you have to love a man like that to heal them. There's going to be a lot of things that play out. There's also these distortions that come up that my body belongs to man. There is belief systems that that my creation center is the creation center for the man that I'm in devotion for. These are all core wounds and disassociated aspects of the psyche that have happened over history, over history, over history, that run through the bloodlines. And so it's no wonder that a woman with this archetype acts the way she does, because unconsciously she has all of this past programming that she has absolutely no idea about. Now, for the man in this dynamic, um, there's there's challenges. There's so many challenges for men that attracts a woman with a high amount of chi. There is an addictive nature. There's a love hate. There's a I want to be around her, but she also drives me fucking crazy. There is a sense of um, intense desire, because what she holds is a high amount of source frequency, so that you feel connected to yourself when you're in her presence. So this is something that often happens. And because men are autonomous, and they do this, their fragmentation is different. They have the same mother father wounds, but they function differently, and their brain functions differently, and their channel functions differently. A man feels the connection to divine source before he's cultivated within himself. With a woman like this, he feels a sense of love. He feels a sense of fulfillment. He feels that. Why do you think men want sex for connection? Yes, because she provides that connection through her way of being, and he doesn't naturally have it in the same way. It doesn't mean that we are not equally as connected to God, Source Creator. It means that we experience it differently through the male vessel and the female vessel. It means our brains function in different ways. And so we borrow from each other until we cultivate it ourselves. And so a man will want to be in connection with a woman that holds this energy. And it will be something that he loves being around. He will be so with her. But then when he pulls away, what happens is that connection is gone. But instead of seeing all of the shadows, all of the parts of self that come up that I have to look at because I don't like this part about me. This brings up the aspect of the part of me that isn't loved, the unworthiness, all of those wounds. It becomes through the avoidant masculine brain. The way the brain works is there's often a projection onto her. Now, the other side of that is that he ends up just giving himself up to feel that connection. So it works both ways, right? And um, this uh, is hard for both male and female, because we're trying to get what we haven't cultivated within ourselves. We're actually comparing our own way of being to each other, and that this um, uh, comparison, where we are not the same. We are not equal. We will never be equal. We are designed completely different, completely on every possible layer, that we need each other, and yet we also don't. Because whilst we have the attachment to needing each other, this is where the toxicity happens. This is where a man will give himself up for a woman that will seduce him, but doesn't actually want him or love him, just wants to use his energy to gift her what she needs from him. And then in the other way, it's the exact same, it's just a different dynamic. The woman will give up her energy for a man that she wants to claim her, but he is too scared to claim himself. These are simple fragmentations of the masculine and feminine energies and how they play out in relationships. And what that means for us now is that as an individual, if you are in a relationship, okay, we'll talk about the priestesses first. If you are a priestess, and you know that you are from this dynamic, that you know that you have this. I have a whole sisterhood for this where I do initiations and mystery school and way more in depth communications around this. But if you feel like you're aware that you are a priestess, you have memories of being in temple arts, you have an awareness that you have an addictive nature to men, that you have mental health stability, bipolar aspects of swinging, emotional swings. You tend to be very much in your lower chakra systems. You've got obsessive compulsive expressions. You may have addictive natures. All of the things that I've previously spoken about. This is the unintegrated, unhealthy priestess, right? This is the one that hasn't woken up and she doesn't know who she is. And then there's a completely different aspect of that, right? That's a woman that becomes embodied. She becomes central. She knows how to work with her energy. She steps into her power. She uses her medicine to create art. She becomes a healer. She might become a channel. She may have the ability with song. She has a specific expression with using her body to create medicine in whatever form that her instrument, right? She uses her instrument to create her medicine. That is what you could say the priestess is. Now, if this is you and you're in relationship or you're not in relationship and if you're abstinent, I would suggest that you start a kundalini practice because your body will start breaking down. It will start to die on you. And I just realized the time. Um, your body will start to die on you. And so it's really important to cultivate your chi, and it's really important to work with the elixir of life that's naturally within you, to open your chakra systems, to work on the purification so that your heart can open, so that you can gift that energy out through your heart, so you can speak from this place of embodied divine wisdom, of the feminine expression. Um, and the dynamics of the relationships that you are partaking in. What sort of man are you attracting? Are you attracting a submissive man? And you are probably the woman that is feeding off him. And how can you look at your succubus? How can you look at that part of you that feels like you have to feed and take a man's abundance codes or his inspiration and take that as your own and run with it? How much are you manipulating men to get your needs met? How much are you leading them on? How much are you seducing them and luring them into your web because you haven't yet worked on the aspect of yourself that is fearful that if you release him, that you will not have enough life force within you. Um, and then for these women that are attracting this more dominant patriarchal man, where is it that you're still not claiming your power, your potency, your ability? Where is it that you are still allowing yourself to step over your own boundaries, to not speak your needs? Where is it that you are terrified of stepping away from a man because you don't know how to not be codependent? There is many layers of looking at this, and then also looking at what is it that as a woman, what are the kind of men you've actually been attracting? So you can look at it from a more spiritual lens. What are the men that you're bringing into your life? How are you actually there to help them? How are you there to guide them? What is it that you're really there to gift them? Is it that you have a capacity and ability to hold their hearts in unconditional love? Is it that you have this this art of being able to um, uh, I can only think of Mary Magdalene right now. Perieta the Gideon, you know. Uh, what is your specific role to man? What is it that you actually are seeking from a man that you need or have cultivated within yourself? What is your role in how to offer your medicine in a way that is aligned and divinely guided by your heart so that you're not opening your body, so you're not actually further emasculating men, so you're not creating this space where where we continue this dynamic that is not supporting men or women to rise because we're stuck in this entanglement. And if you are a man that feels like he's more emasculated and he's been fed off and seduced and allured by the dark feminine, then what aspects of your mother wounding have you not looked at? What part of the mother that didn't give you that level of the mother wounding from the emasculated man is often the mummy's boy kind of energy. So it's like the mother that put a lot of pampering and made you. Often, the mother has made you like a husband to them, and there is this um, feminine dominance that comes over into the personality, and there is an honoring. There's a story of honoring woman while it's very covert, and for a lot of men, there is a kind of old. I call it old school, but it's really not. It's old school in my consciousness. A book called No More Mr. Nice Guy, and this talks about this exact man, this covert, emasculated man that will attract this until he learns his own boundaries, until he starts to see his power, until he stands in that he doesn't need a woman to validate him, and that he can speak his truth, and that he doesn't have to play into those dynamics to see the sense of self. And then for the dark masculine, look, we put so much judgment onto the dark masculine. We put so much wrongness onto the narcissist. There's a story that the narcissist can't heal, and once a narcissist, always a narcissist. It's like the same with an alcoholic and an addict. Of course, we're going to stay in fragmentation if we have that belief. It's not true. It's no different to the empath can heal, the narcissist can heal. The the dark masculine, the overt energy, there is no further toxicity than any of these dynamics. All four of these expressions of man and woman are just as wounded, painful, hurt as each other. There's not one of them that is not manipulative. There's not one of them that doesn't do spiteful things. There's not one of them that doesn't do things in anger. There's not one of them that doesn't express in a way that feeds or takes. We dance in all of them. It's just what's your primary expression, the one that you're more comfortable with. And so, this more overt masculine, what he needs to recognize is he's fucking angry at woman. And because he's so angry that he didn't receive what he needed and the love, and that his mum did X, Y, and Z, or whatever feminine representation is in his reality, that he didn't get his needs met. And instead of recognizing the hurt and the pain and the aspects that are there becomes this distortion that takes place in I'm going to control her so that I can have her, and I'm going to give her silent treatment and make her feel bad and shame her for what she's not giving me. Now, there's so much that I could talk about around these four energy systems, but the part about this is what we see in tantra. This is what is unconsciously moving through, is these are the polarizing relationships that are dancing in sexuality. This is where you have the the entry points for satanic connections. This is where you end up with leaky sexual energy. This is where um, you don't actually know how to anchor in yourself and to be pure love, and you want divine orgasmic bliss, then you need to look at these parts, because you can't have that with another being while you have these pieces. While you still see yourself as either light or dark masculine, you can't have the full purity of a unified connection in source or in sexual alchemy. Whilst you see yourself as a light feminine or a dark feminine, you can't also. So you will swing between the two until you've learnt the unified expression of divine current of Kundalini, both snakes moving up and down your body in both directions. You cannot experience that. You might have moments of it. You might allow yourself to open to the beauty of it in moments, but you won't be able to anchor it until you go, I am not light nor dark. I am not masculine nor feminine. That as a being that is here to be of truth, a bringer of change, of God's source creator, I am a priestess. A priestess is not feminine, nor is she masculine. She is a unified being that is female form, that has a specific expression that can be used through her physical body. She is woman, but she is God. And a man has a very different role. He is not masculine, nor is he feminine. A divine masculine is a unified God in male form. And so this concept is what runs the unhealthy aspects of the mother father wounds. They're not actually your parental wounds. They're the mother father wounds of God source creator. You have mother God and father God, where you've decided that they're divided and separate. Everything in this reality has been cut up into portions, and you are literally getting the pieces and trying to put yourself back together. In that, I do not know. I know that this was not exactly the transmission that I had expected on sharing, but it was perfect and whole. And I love all of you for your witness and your receiving of me in my personality and my sharing. And from a funny side note, I will no longer be initiating the men of the Light Warriors or the Vikings of Truth through sexual alchemy. Just saying. It will only be through the ability with my source connection. And I have not done that for the last few years, thankfully. I understood what I was doing and I worked on the healing and the alchemy of my priestess so I could come into the high priestess and the awareness of that because the high priestess moves into a place where she no longer uses her physical body. She uses her mind, she uses her heart, she uses her frequency. She doesn't have to cultivate her medicine in that way because she's already mastered it. And so she evolves and then she moves into the conduit and the oracle and then beyond that. And so this awareness is that the other side of this, because I know there are a couple of light warriors and Vikings of truth here, because I've spoken to a couple of you personally, is that, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, but there's something resonating in your body, there will be a Vikings of truth transmission where I will be very clear about what that. Archetypal energy and that mission is. And there will be the 3-month program that I'll launch after the weekend to assist men to in brotherhood. Isn't it hilarious? A woman running brotherhood. See, that's the cosmic joke. Um, is that the light warriors and the Vikings of truth are going to come together in this brotherhood to go through some of these dynamics and heal them on a quantum level, as well as allowing Thoth to come through and speak to whatever that is. Um, and a dynamic of initiation so that there's the clearing of these wounds and the different aspects that need to be moved through, and so that it's more conducive, that you've got your brotherhood, you connect to each other, you share codes, not through sexual alchemy. You share codes with each other through being in a space, and you also heal. So what happens with group containers like this when you're working on a quantum level is when one person heals a specific energy signature, it moves through the whole field. And so everyone else has a possibility of releasing that at the same time. And so it's a very fast evolvement and it's a rapid speed purification. This is what I do. This is my mastery. It's the purification process. It's otherwise known as the Brock process. Um, and that is the medicine of the goddess Isis. And so that will be launching next week. There's a what was I getting at? That it's my bedtime. Um, that Bariate Ekiariandiana Etiandiana. Oh, there was actually a key reason as to why I wanted to share this, is that naturally, as the being that I am, I know the frequency I hold. I know that women and men get sexually activated by me. That's okay. I don't take that as anything. I don't onboard it. It doesn't feed me. It doesn't do anything. It's an awareness that I have a lot of Kundalini. It's an awareness that I'm very attractive to the eye. It's an awareness that the frequency that moves through me reminds me of who you are. There's going to be a magnetism or there will be a repulsion. It'll be one or the other because it will be I'm repulsed by you because you show me who you are, who I am, and that there's things that I need to look at, or there's a drawer of you've got this part that brings out and it magnetizes me. You give me a cultivation of remembrance. Now, how this it can be uncomfortable in our world and conditioning is that as a woman that is and has worked with men as a men's coach, right, is that I know that my clients have attraction to me. I know that they dream about me. I know that there are aspects that come up in thought forms and then there's shames that's created. Now, as a being that doesn't see these things through the eyes of the human mind, it's an opening to go, okay, what was that belief system really about? What was that was coming up? Why are you feeling that? It's got nothing to do with me. What I bring up in you, actually, it's there's remembrance there for you. There's an opening for healing there, and it's actually really, really, really beautiful when you can recognize what something is and feel vulnerable enough to bring it up in a coaching session, because the magnetism or the distortion that is showing out has a really deep transformative key and opportunity to self-realization. So that is my final piece in this quirky sharing of all of the layers. So to close, I'm gonna give you because I channel a lot of the coding of Viriata Tekiana of of Isis, but I don't channel her coding to men very often. So I'm gonna invite all of you to receive some of her frequencies. She is very sensual. She is very activating. She's very delicious. So, um, invite the deliciousness without the shame, without the story. Just let the frequencies do what they need to do to alchemize your kundalini to your power center, to invite a further connection to your own inner joy. So just closing your eyes down. And if you are wanting to receive this transmission, please say yes in your inner being. You don't need to say it in the chat. If you're not wanting to open, but you just want to witness, just say no and place a shield up. So we're going to take 3 deep breaths together, breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth. Breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth. Breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth. And we're going to bring our focus down now to the sacral chakra. De ekarianai, do okoria tatakayanai. You are going to allow yourself to bring yourself into an invitation of your power. Mi andayanaya kieria tatakaria tutukuyandiana. To allow for all of you to start to feel, sense, perceive a heat. Ne e de eria da aka no uso tokosho tokuyande. Noro anae. Yoro anae. Onore anahe kiaria. De eshete kiaria tiki. Sotore anae anae. Yotore iki. To allow that fire within to open, expand, and light up aspects of you that have laid dormant. Ne ende da akarekiatayata anaya. Oh, retekiana hashtikiaria tetekia. Ndaetere. Yotarara. Mi India naya korea tetekia. Shetekiaria setekiaria indiana. And we're going to allow and imagine that you allow your root and your sacral chakra to start to commune and conversate with each other, to allow for divine source energy to start to penetrate you, to allow this frequency. Ne ere akiari ateriana. Yo anahe. Yo no anahe. Yo to open and stimulate you, to allow you to access your own templates, your own coding, and to invite a sense of the Shakti and the Shiva current back into your field. Yakareatuayanaya, Ikiariateriana, Yosere Hisharei, Yonoanahei. Ararai, yo oroto kuya tatatai, mi ishite geria tatakaya noya sete te, shu, rutututu, shu. Will you allow this energy to move through, to invite the meridian lines, the activation points, and all aspects of your inner being to move through a recalibration into a higher vibrational connection of your own chi center, to ask it to balance, synergize, and harmonize so that your chi is cultivated to source, the solar sun, to the energy of Ra, Miandaya Doria Kiarianai, Sediandaka, Deshete Eki Iki Ikiana, Ne, O Oshta Anae, allowing for your chi to stay within you, to cultivate your creative passions, to cultivate your creative expression, and to bring through the abundance and the power of your own expression of purpose. Bo'o kuarea kiariande, no seriande, na aria teteke ande anai, sere anai anai. So you release the attachments to using each other as tools. You release the attachment to seeing yourself through another and start to cultivate the awareness of who you be by connecting yourself to this essence of your own divinity. Mo'oreandai, yarahi anoe, andai ki yarahi, yono, yono, arahai, ikayana. Ikayana a e she, osa ana e, niki a, yo oshai, yo osho okuya ata, ini, yo no o ki kayare, yo so a he, yo so a he, ye, ye, ya, allowing the shift within your sacral, allowing for the vibrational octave that is being expressed and offered through you to remind you to see that of the path that you have walked, Ma'akariandianaya kiariatukuyandiana, the potency that you hold, De Esheria Koriandata Kariandianai, and the memory of how you've served or you've been gifted service. Setekeria teria tkiandianai, ni ekiaria tutukuyandianai. As you allow yourself to ask yourself for any of the specific Egyptian templates, mi ikiaria tutukoshutukoria tutukariandianai, de eshutekariandianai, to call them back, plug them in, turn them on. Me eshendianai, no o korea ate kiandianai, de eseriatete, de eseriatata ana, anahae, anahae, anahae. To let that alchemize and remind you a little more of who you are. Be'eria korianai, ni isheria kiaria otokuyana, ni itea do oko ni eshite, do o I a artikia atayashkiata no sotoko nayan kiaria tokoria de sharia te shu mahartako shu te ash. Just taking 3 deep breaths now into your heart to come back to the space and to solidify that into your being. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Enjoy. Do not be surprised if you have an increase in your sexual energy and you feel uh, over the coming days an increase in your desire to play in intimacy and sexual alchemy, and anywhere that your kundalini might have started to run, that can definitely be a byproduct of connecting in with uh, with Isis. She's definitely she's beautiful. She's got many layers, as we all do. Uh, I love you. Have a beautiful evening or morning, depending where you're watching. Until next time. Amen.